From recess. Madam Clerk, ordinances on their final reading. Item A.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 10, Article 4, Sections 10-53, 10-56, and 10-59, relative to commercial property assessed clean energy and resiliency CPACER program within the city of Chattanooga.
Right.
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Madam Clerk, ordinances on the first reading, legal item A.
An ordinance de-annexing Lot 34A adjacent to the current city limits, which is located at 7902 Holly Hills Drive, tax map number 149F-D-005, owner Guy Cherwanick, Paces Ferry Builders, within the city of Chattanooga in Hamilton County, Tennessee.
Okay, Councilman Ledford.
Move to approve. Second.
Been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item B, under wastewater.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a sanitary sewer easement beginning at MH number S118K036, following the easement through MH numbers S118K006 and S118K007, ending at MH number S118K008, for a total of 845 feet, tax map number 118K-A-046.01, as shown on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item C.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a sanitary sewer easement beginning at MH number S168H045 and ending at MH number S168H046. Tax map numbers 168A-P-003 and 004, as shown on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
Okay, Madam Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, this is in your district. I move to approve.
Okay, got a motion and proper second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair. Resolutions under economic development, item A.
A resolution to make certain findings relating to the Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise, Inc. Bailey Park Residential Project, to delegate certain authority to the Health, Educational, and Housing Facility Board, and to authorize the mayor to enter into and execute an agreement for payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes.
Council, you've heard the reading.
Move approval.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion.
Abstain.
Okay. And one abstention. All right. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item B under legal.
A resolution amending resolution number 31674 by authorizing the Office of the City Attorney to engage with the following additional attorney for legal and lobbying services. William C. Killian for the period of October 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Okay. Council. Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item C.
A resolution authorizing the waiver of park rental fees for Friends of the Festival in support of Riverfront Nights for the dates of May 25th, June 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th, July 4th, 6th, 13th, 20th, 27th, August 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, and 31st, 2024, to be held in Ross's Landing every Saturday, and Chattanooga Green on May 25th, August 17th, and 24th, 2024, in the amount of $19,000, where a deposit in the amount of $19,000 will be the responsibility of the applicant, for a total amount of $38,000.
Councilman Ledford.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item D.
A resolution approving a new special exceptions permit for an existing liquor store located at 1008 Macaulay Avenue.
All right, is the applicant present? Is there an applicant present? Okay, is there any opposition present? All right, I see opposition. I don't see an applicant. Councilwoman Knoll, if you,
Yes. Applicant.
Applicant?
I'm sorry, I don't hear that well.
Oh, that's okay. The
You
applicant?
said 1008 Macaulay Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the applicant.
Okay, applicant's present. Okay, thank
Do
you.
you want her to stand up?
Give us just a second, ma'am. No, you don't have to. Just a second. All right. Thank you so much. So we do have thank you. There's an applicant present, and we also have opposition present as well. What's your pleasure?
Yeah, if they will come do a presentation, please, Madam Chair.
Okay, Karen, if you're available.
I showed a slide briefly, just the location on the map during Planning and Zoning Committee. Again, this is the southeast corner of Macaulay and Central, or just at the southeast corner. So there is a report that's part of the item in in your packet, but I'll just note that the property is zoned, a form-based code zone. It is UCX5, Urban Commercial Mixed Use Zone, has no zoning conditions. Liquor stores are listed as a use permitted by special exceptions by City Council. The distance or prohibition does not apply, so oftentimes speaking about special exceptions, permits for liquor stores, there's a question of the distance from a church or a school. As this is a form-based code, it does not apply. I will read the section. The distance prohibition set forth in subsection A shall not apply to a retail license or permit for the sale of wine or high alcohol content beer as defined by TCA 573101 within the area zone C3 Central Business District or within the area zone pursuant to the downtown form-based code. So just as a reminder that form-based code properties are exempt from that distance requirement. There was no concerns or comments from CDOT or Land Development Office. CDOT noted that the site will be required to comply with the parking requirements during the permitting process. So there is an option to provide a comment from staff from additional requirements which are needed in order to make the development more compatible. And as there were no concerns, there are no additional requirements or suggestions related to this project.
Karen, are there any conditions that the council needs to review specifically under the form-based code here in making this determination to grant a special exceptions permit?
There are no zoning conditions related to the property, and I don't believe there are additional conditions, but I have not looked at that in a while.
Okay, thank you.
We do not have them listed in the report, which is where we try to tie up all the applicable language.
Okay, so it's a decision for this body on the granting of the special exceptions permit.
That is my understanding.
All righty, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Karen, when you were listed the items that it allowed, I heard you say wine and high alcohol beer.
That is that was the distance prohibition language, and it talks about a resale license or permit for the sale. There's also a section, and that's talking about location and signs for liquor stores, and that has the language for the distance requirements that don't apply in this case.
Well, I guess I'm trying to get at, is there not a difference between a liquor store and a wine and beer?
I have not had the question before to drill down on the difference, so I'm not prepared to answer. I don't have information.
Does
Chris
liquor
Anderson
not have
might
a higher
information.
alcohol content than even a high alcohol content beer?
Councilman, the state of Tennessee regulates high-gravity beer, which is it's either 5 weight, 6 volume, or the opposite, and they treat it the same as wine and liquor. Those are all regulated by the state of Tennessee, whereas beer below that 5 or 6% threshold is regulated by municipalities and treated differently.
Well, I'm simply going by our code. Our code says wine and high alcohol beer, correct? It doesn't say it allows liquor stores.
I don't have the whole it's section 5108 and I don't have the alcohol code in front of me.
Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Is there a difference in what our code allows and what they are asking for in this resolution?
I'm getting 5108 up right now. It specifically has a requirement just for, I guess, locations and signs for liquor stores in that one section.
I'm not asking about signs.
I understand, and that is where our distance restrictions occur normally, that it is exempted in the form-based code sections. And the references include, it looks like alcoholic beverages other than wine and beer, both in high alcohol content beer as defined under state law and beer as defined under state law. That is a requirement of 33% or less of the total gross sales of the liquor store. So it does limit the amounts of alcohol based upon the quantity of, I guess, alcohol content that is within them. But it does allow that in a liquor store to occur.
But does our code that this is currently zoned for?
Yes, sir.
Zoning, does the zoning code allow then liquor? Because I only heard Ms. Rennick read beer, wine and high alcohol beer.
Our beer code regulates what liquor stores can do, and I believe those are the restrictions that we normally have and the definitions. We do not have a separate definition in the zoning ordinance, to my knowledge. Let me look for liquor store too while we're at it.
Well, so in your opinion, the zone that this is currently zoned does allow for liquor, even though Ms. Rennick didn't read liquor? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
It did.
Because the section of 5108 specifically talks about the areas zoned pursuant to the downtown form-based code, which is what this area is.
It
Under
says,
5108.
it says what now?
It says the distance prohibition shall not apply to any property within the C3 Central Business District or within the area zone pursuant to the downtown form-based code.
Okay, when it says the distance for prohibition, that is a broad term meaning
For liquor stores. Yes, sir.
any alcohol, then, what you're saying.
It says that, but it specifically differentiates between alcohol that is less, that would normally be beer, and it also includes both high alcohol content beer and beer as defined under Tennessee law as less than high content beer. Plain as mud, yes, sir.
I was gonna say, I'm still not convinced it includes alcohol.
All right, Councilman Henderson?
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karen. Councilwoman Noah, would you like to hear from the applicant?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right. Okay, applicant, you have 7 minutes, if we can get 7 minutes on the clock.
Want her to come over there?
Yes, please, right to this podium here. And then, would you also like to hear from opposition as well?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah, okay. So just so everyone's aware, during this planning hearing, applicant has 7 minutes to, present. The opposition has 9 minutes total together, to present, and then the applicant can, if they so choose, an additional 2 minutes, in response to the opposition. All right, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kanta Chaudhary, and we own that station, gas station, in the corner of Central and Macaulay. And I'm sorry, I'm not good in public speaking, but, and I lost my brother on Saturday, we had funeral. But I do respect community, and I don't want to create any problems in the community. But we are trying our best, and I was not the owner when the 2004, when this store was open. So I promise that community, whatever community wants, I will be like, in cooperation with those things. And I'm really sorry about if anything happened, like any trouble we have created, but I tried best to work with the community and the city. And I like the city because we grew up with the city, and I like to be part of development of the city. So
Okay, is that,
I respect my community and the city.
all right. Is that it? You got 5 more minutes. Okay.
I'm sorry, you have any question, 5 more
What did
minutes?
you
So would
say?
the-
I
5
said
more
you-
minutes.
she has 5 more minutes if there's anything else she would like to say, or is that sufficient for you?
You want to tell them what you're trying to build there?
Yeah, we're trying to build the, residential and commercial, mix the down, commercial and residential on the top, like 2 stories. And that's what we are, I think, allowed to do it.
Okay.
So if you have any question, I can answer for that, but
Okay. You said
right now
you're
in the shock of,
okay. You said you're trying to build residential mixed use.
mixed use, yes.
Okay.
What?
All right. All right.
Madam-
Hold on. I'll come back again. Council, give us just a second. Councilwoman Knoll.
So, okay, let me make sure I'm understanding. You are talking about residential, building residential?
Yeah.
So Karen, can you come back up? Was that? Was that in the application?
The application is just for the special permit, so we would default to, since the zoning doesn't have conditions on it, we would just look at I guess during the permitting process, they would just look at the zoning standards for the UCX5 urban commercial mixed use zone. So if there were conditions, we would address conditions during this process if it said residential use only or, no liquor stores. We would bring that to your attention, but there is no zoning conditions on this site. So anything allowed under that zoning designation be permitted here.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Councilman Henderson, followed by Councilwoman Burrs.
Well, I'm trying to be clear. So there's an existing convenience store there already, correct?
Yes.
At this location?
I mean, this is next,
And,
This is not at the existing convenience store.
No.
This will be at a
It is-
vacant lot next to that store,
next to,
correct?
next to
Okay.
convenience store.
Right.
okay, so why does it have on here an existing liquor store?
Yeah, that's what I was reading into.
We don't know why that
Yeah.
says that. I wondered that myself,
Yeah,
sorry.
me too.
Right. So Karen, there is not an existing liquor store, correct?
There is not an existing liquor store, you're correct. It's a vacant lot next door, and I did notice the caption too. We don't write the captions, so I'm not sure if there was a transfer of a permit, but it does say for an existing liquor store. But there is nothing there.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Councilman Henderson, does that answer your question?
Yeah, because I was a little confused about.
Okay. Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, ma'am. So just what is going to be built there?
I'm sorry,
You are going to build what there?
residential and commercial at the bottom.
You're going to do residential
Yes.
and a liquor store?
And the liquor store, and, yes.
Huh?
Okay.
In all in one building?
Yeah. It's like 2-story,
I'm sorry, she's
It's like
saying
two-story
something.
and-
You-
It'll probably be 3 stories.
3-story, yeah.
3 stories.
3 stories?
They went through the planning department during COVID, and they had a meeting with all the departments, pre-submittal meeting, I guess it was. I wasn't there. And the planners said they would like to see the commercial building have residential above. So they said, yes, they would be more than willing to do that. So they'll have apartments above.
So it's a liquor store with apartments above
Apartments
it?
on
right.
top, yes.
Well, that's what's been recommended by the planning department.
department.
I use that
I
very
was just
broadly.
unclear
'cause-
what was,
Yeah.
okay.
So it'll be a commercial building with residences above, and in a phase 2, they plan to build another commercial building with more apartments above, and we don't know what will go in that other commercial
On
building.
this same lot?
No, there's a couple of lots. Karen, do you have that picture again? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I should just be more available. So you talked to the east.
So Central is to the left. You see the white roof, that's a convenience store. The purple outline is the site on which they want to put this building. And then next to it, in the other vacant lot, they're hoping in the future, the very near future, to build and put another commercial building with more residences above.
Okay,
That's the plan.
So this is the filling station on the corner, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you're calling the
The white,
convenience store?
yes, it's a convenience store.
Got it. And then, all right, and that's Central over there to the left, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's what used to be a dental office in front of that?
Yeah, it's right behind there, yes.
Got it. And so you want to build where the purple is, and
Yes,
excuse me, where is the second one?
It would
Next
be
to
in
it?
the next vacant lot
Okay.
to our right as we
Okay.
look at the
Okay.
site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Right, I don't see any additional lights. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
It's just hard to hear out here, I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right. Oh, it's a light. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair.
For them? Is it for?
Yeah, I
Okay.
got a question. Ma'am,
If y'all can come back up.
well,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
my question is just more towards the housing. I mean, it's zoned for you to do the housing, but if you don't get that special exceptions permit to put a liquor store there, do you still plan on doing the housing?
I'm sorry.
Do you still plan on creating housing options? If the liquor store
If the liquor store
special
not going to be there?
is still?
Yes.
Okay, so with the housing piece, I'd like for you to see Ms. Hyman about housing options. So she's in the back, so after our meeting, maybe you can, get to talk to her about that. Because whether if it passes or not, for the liquor, I would still love for you to build housing, because right now, we're in a need for all kinds of houses.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah, I just wanted you to be supported on that end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it for real this time. Y'all can
Thank
go
you, sir.
ahead. Thank you. All right, if we get 9 minutes on the clock for opposition, if you would like to speak in opposition to this or just speak on it, you can come to the podium here. And remember, that's 9 minutes total for all of opposition. All right, and remember to state your name.
Hi, I'm Mary Mae Williamson. I live in the ML King neighborhood and have been a member of the Board of Directors for over a decade and am currently the spokesperson. We do not have titles within our board, so I am the spokesperson, facilitator. I'm the person that everyone comes to. So I will be representing the neighborhood today in opposition of the request for the special exception. I think it's important to note that when the original Cancun's was built, the neighborhood was approached, we told them our concerns, and they primarily existed around the large number of homeless and transient individuals in the neighborhood. I apologize, I have a cold. And we told them that anything that they sold that was readily available for that population in our neighborhood was not going to be a good thing. We were assured that they were not going to sell the tall cans or bottles of the 40s, basically, of beer, or any inexpensive beer. And within months of opening, they started selling it. And we reached out as a board of directors, tried to get them to make a change, to honor their original verbal agreement. By the way, we learned a very important lesson that day, because we realized that we could not necessarily rely on the honor and the word of the developers that were coming into our neighborhood. So we started getting everything in writing, and that's the sad reality. But we were unsuccessful in getting them to respond to our request to have a conversation about how we collaborated and worked together to solve the problems that we were already seeing in the neighborhood. Everything from trash to drunken and disorderly to safety concerns, security concerns. And the ownership at that time was unwilling to return our call. They did not respond to us. And as a result, we ended up as a neighborhood writing a grant to put the beautiful trash cans, the nice metal trash cans that you see around our neighborhood. That was the result of neighbors writing that grant and doing the actual installation of those garbage cans and working with the city to make sure they get emptied. However, you can drive down any street in our neighborhood and you will see trash beside the garbage can, even though the garbage can is not empty. And so that brings us to where we are today. The number of homeless and transient in our neighborhood has only increased. And what is also increased are the number of UTC students that take advantage of the rental housing and rental opportunities in our neighborhood because of its close proximity to UTC. And we also have sorority houses and a fraternity house that are just on the other side of Central, only a couple of blocks from the proposed site of this liquor store. And in addition, we also have Brown Academy and Montessori School, which are in close proximity as well. And so our major concerns today are that making alcohol more accessible to the population that is causing the most problem in our neighborhood in terms of sanitation and cleanliness and also safety and security is not a good idea for the neighborhood. You can walk down any street and you will see broken glass all the time. It's not safe to run, it's not safe to walk, it's not safe to walk your dog, it's not safe to take your children out because you have to pay very close attention to where broken glass and other items are located in the neighborhood as a result of all of the drinking that happens. And we don't have to only be concerned about our personal safety, but at that intersection, we are constantly getting complaints. I know CDOT said they have no concerns. Evidently, they're not hanging out in that area enough because the safety concerns of crossing through that intersection, it's already tenuous at best. And so if this should pass, I'm going to strongly ask that there be some more studies done about that intersection and how you make it safer, especially as we add more things, whether it's the liquor store or residential or anything else that's right there behind the Cancun's, it needs to be taken into consideration. And so in closing, it's safe to say that the neighborhood is not in favor of this particular request for a special exception for the liquor store. We certainly appreciate that people want to make money. I'm a business owner myself and I understand that, but I also know that there's a right way and a wrong way to make money, and it's extremely important that we all be cognizant of what our decisions do to impact a neighborhood or the community at large. And so with that, I appreciate your time, I appreciate your consideration, and as always, my neighborhood appreciates what you do.
Thank you.
I don't have to say anything. I'm the only spokesperson. They were just standing behind me as members, and I apologize for not recognizing them. It's very difficult to get people to the meetings when most of our neighborhood are working professionals that have to answer to a boss. Luckily, I'm my own boss, and so I gave myself the afternoon off. But these are neighbors that were able to come today to stand behind me and show support for the neighborhood stance.
All right.
But I am docking her pay for taking off early.
All right. Thank you so much. If y'all would stay up for just a second. Councilwoman Knoll.
Yes, if those that are standing could come to the mic and just give your name, please. Thank you. Just state your name.
Terry Epps.
Okay. Thank you.
Edwin Allen.
Thank you.
Jean Smith.
Thank you.
Sandy Dahl.
Thank you.
Jake Toner.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you so much. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to come speak about this issue, just like it's a very important issue in the ML King area. It's across the city of Chattanooga that it's been echoed that these same issues happen around, and it could be anybody. It's not just transients or, homeless people that's, littering across our city or just, buying alcohol. It's accessible to everybody, no matter what your socioeconomic status may be. It's available for everybody. And I'm gonna speak just for my community, District 9. Like, it's just the uncleanliness, I would say, that happens a lot of times around convenience stores or grocery stores that are a lot of times not kept up to a standard that you would expect it to be. So it's not just happening in MLK, and I wish that it was something more that we could put in place to say, like you say, we want everybody to do business, right? But we also, what I would love to see is that every business, no matter what kind of business that it may be, is that you know, make sure that the space that they operate in is clean, you know, in the community. It fits well with the community. It's family friendly and all that kind of stuff, the sanitation and the safety-ness of it. And I could just have pictures of convenience stores in my mind at different places in our community, across the city of Chattanooga, and it's that same image what you talked about. I don't know, how do we change that? The owners of the property will have to change that. You know, it's not something that we can go say, hey, listen, if you don't, or whatever, but hopefully that, you know, that owners of convenient markets and stores will be better stewards in our communities, and, you know, because every community want to be welcoming and safe and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then grown adults should be able to have a space that's safe for them to purchase an adult beverage if they choose to partake in it, right? Because it's not illegal to do so. So, but I just wanted to share that, you know, you're not alone at MLK, like it's happening in a lot of neighborhoods.
I actually wish we were alone, because then at least that means that your district was safe from what we have to go through, but thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Coonrod. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. All right, for the applicant, if you would like to speak, you have 2 minutes. If you would like to respond.
Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know like how to, but like this is, we are trying best to keep our place clean. We have problem with homeless too, but we try our best to keep it clean and surrounding area, whatever they say, like it was previous owners. I was not there when it happened, or like, and I'm always against of like we have problem with homeless too. So we try to keep the area safe. Even college students, they come inside, they say like, okay, if somebody hanging outside and like bother them, we try to save them, help them to fill up the gas and everything. So my concern is like, I'm going to try to help the community to be safe and in the area to be safe and more convenient for people to have their products.
Right, thank you so much.
Can I throw in, there's also a nice townhouse development straight across the street that's broken ground quite a while ago. They're having a little trouble, I think, getting up, but this is going to be a nice, I mean, the plan is that this is a nice commercial development and with residences above to serve the neighborhood. Now, I get it that we're on the edge of that neighborhood and they aren't looking forward to alcohol sales. We understand that. And she said she'll work with them and try to do anything she can do, but the homeless is out of her grasp.
And right now it's like very dark area behind the gas station even, so like we will make it like brighter and safe for people to walk around.
It should hopefully add a better element because there will be lit up, there will be more people there. And she'll do whatever she can to help. It's a well-run store. I don't know any of you have been to the gas station, but the convenience store is clean, neat, very nice people that work inside. Bye.
Thank
It's
you.
2 minutes.
Thank you. Just a second. Just a second. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Chair, I was just gonna mention, to you all, like the Downtown Alliance. I'm not sure if they still had a program or not, but I know they had been interjecting it. Is that they had a program where they would pay homeless people to pick up trash in the area. So it made, you know, you can partner with them, maybe to kind of help, you know, with the trash around in your area, stuff like that. The sanitation and that kind of stuff. But they right downtown on Market Street. I wish I had Jermaine or something. One of them could probably look up the number for you and pass it on to you to kind of help with your establishment, or maybe, you know, get with our, you know, maybe security can help, you know, not put anybody in jail or criminalize that they're being homeless, because it is what it is. We don't have enough housing stock for people but, you know, to make sure that the area is safe, you know, and people just not, partaking, you know, drinking outside of the store, you know, making sure that they understand, you know, they have to go home with it or wherever, but not directly on your premises, so, yeah, just.
We
wanted
try,
to-
even police, city police officers, they are always help us to help.
It's a good suggestion.
All right.
It is, thank you.
All right, say that, Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yep, that's it.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We
everyone.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, we've heard from the applicant in opposition. Councilwoman Knoll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, District 8 is all for development, especially development that is going to be very beneficial to the district, to the actual neighborhood that it is going to develop in. But I also have to keep in mind that my MLK family is the ones that will have to be dealing with this on a daily basis, morning, noon, and night. So due to what they have said, Madam Chair, I make a motion to move to deny.
Okay, I have a motion and proper second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries to deny. Madam Clerk, item E under, police.
A resolution authorizing the retirement of K-9 Gunther as a service dog.
All right, Councilman Henderson.
Move for approval.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And thank you for the presentation earlier, Councilman Henderson.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We appreciate their service.
If there's no objection from council, we can take items F, G, and H as a group. Okay, all right, Madam Clerk.
Item F, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Lacarian Douglas as a Special Commissioned Police Officer unarmed for the City of Chattanooga Public Works Department Transportation Division to perform duties expressly limited to the performance of the duties in the position of Transportation Inspector. Item G, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Margaret Siplin as a Special Commissioned Police Officer unarmed for the City of Chattanooga Parking Authority to perform duties expressly limited to the performance of the duties in the position of Parking Ambassador. Item H, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Hannah Tate as a Special Commissioned Police Officer unarmed for the City of Chattanooga Parking Authority to perform duties expressly limited to the performance of the duties in the position of Parking Ambassador.
All right, Councilman Hester.
Move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and proper second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. If there's no objection from council, we'll take items I and J as a group. All right, Madam Clerk.
Item I, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the wastewater department to award contract number W-20-023-201 influent pump station improvements to Clark Construction Group of McLean, Virginia, for improvements to the influent pump station, including screens and washer compactors, in the amount of $3,346,000, with a contingency in the amount of $334,600, for a total amount of $3,680,600. Item J, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the wastewater department to renew the on-call blanket contract number W-22-022-201, focused SSES and rehab blanket contract for wastewater consent decree for year 2 of 4 to SAC Construction LLC of O'Fallon, Illinois, and Inliner Solutions of Orleans, Indiana, for the annual amount of $8.5 million.
Okay, Councilman Hester.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We've come to purchases. Right, Brooke?
Good evening, council. We have one purchase recommended for approval, and it is from the Fleet Management Division of Public Works. This is a year 2 contract renewal of 4 with Truckers Lighthouse, Inc. for installation by the vendor of lighting and equipment for PI SUVs. A 12% price increase was submitted at the time of year 2 due to general inflation, cost of goods by the manufacturer, and labor costs. This is a $9,000 increase, and the new estimated annual spend is $84,000.
Okay, Councilwoman Byrd.
Move approval, ma'am.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Brooke. We've come to committee reports. Councilman Henderson.
I do not believe I have.
All right, thank you so much. Councilman Smith.
I don't think I have one this week either.
Thank you. Councilman Ledford?
I had one.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Councilman Hester?
I don't believe I had a report today.
All right, then, well, thank you. Councilwoman Coonrod? Okay, Councilwoman Noel? All right, Councilwoman Burrs?
I've been thinking about it. I don't think I have.
Report either, okay. And then Madam Vice Chair Hill?
No report.
No report. Right, thank you so much. We have other business, Phil?
Yes, ma'am. Based upon the action taken by the council tonight, there is a zoning restriction that would prohibit this establishment from being able to locate in that area. And as such, I will not send around the certificate of background information because it has to be compliant with any local law, ordinance, or resolution in order to exist in that location.
All right, thank you so much. All right, now come times of persons wishing to address the council. If you would like to address the council, please line up behind this podium while our city attorney reads the rules.
Sure. At the end of each council business meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council. Here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized at the microphone provided up front for that purpose. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak. And you can only address the council upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority and not upon matters which are not under their authority or regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. You can't engage in any vulgar or obscene language nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and address the council as a whole, not towards individual council members. And lastly, do not engage in disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law. And someone commits that offense if the person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting or gathering. Having given you those rules, go right ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, or good evening, John, District 9. In 2011, I became an emergency medical technician, or an EMT. And on one of my first calls, I saw a teenager who had crashed her vehicle and had injured a pedestrian. It was one of the most violent things that I had ever seen, and it would continue to be one of the most violent things I'd ever seen, despite being on the job and seeing a lot of those things. I want to congratulate Vice Chair Jenny Hill, the mayor, and the Public Works Department in taking swift and decisive action to make something get done on Fraser Avenue. I am troubled, however, with the temporary nature and how they are only putting those measures into place for 2 days. And when I think back to what happened over a week ago, it did happen on a weekend, but it could have happened every day. And if you look at the incidents that have happened along Fraser and Cherokee Boulevard, they happen every day. And so I want to tell you something about city planning. There's 2 things that we need to get right with safety in order for people to show up. It needs to be literally safe, and it needs to feel safe. If something is literally safe, that's a win because we've just made our constituents that much safer. But if a place doesn't feel safe, people won't show up. And with this new measure we have in place, and the temporary 2-day nature of it, which doesn't quite make sense to me, it seems that we've chosen to put forward something to increase the safety ever so slightly without increasing the feeling of safety that will bring people back to those businesses for good. I think that if a section of the Veterans Bridge lost a guardrail that made it unsafe to drive past, that the city would take single and decisive action to fix that, rope it off, or close it off until things could be fixed. I think that if we held the standard of education enforcement to cars like we do to pedestrians, we couldn't hold that up. We wouldn't take off guardrails and say, we need more police writing tickets for people that drive over the edge of a bridge. Instead, we would say, we need to put up guardrails to protect people from crashes and accidents that are needless and unnecessary. With the safety measures put forward, we think it's a step in the right direction, but we think it's a step too short. We need to push for these to be permanent changes through the holiday weekends. We've kept a turning lane. We haven't taken the extreme measures we could have. In fact, our recommendation is to close the outside lanes. If we did that, that would feel safe. That would bring pedestrians, and that would bring bicycles. We're so grateful that something was worked on so hard and so long and got pushed through so quickly. However, it's not quite enough. It's not going to increase the feeling of safety, and I thank you, appreciate it.
And Nathan Bird, District 7. I've got two things I would like to speak to y'all about tonight. First, I would like to talk about the change to city council meeting times. I know you guys are busy, and I know this is not a full-time job, though sometimes I think it should be with all of the workload that you have. I understand then the inclination to streamline your Tuesday schedules, and from an administrative standpoint, I think it makes good sense. But in terms of public transparency, accountability, and trust, this decision has been, in my opinion, a failure. Many people I've spoken to assume that you simply don't want to hear their voices. And I know that's not true. But there are many people who struggle to attend these meetings because they're working or they're watching children, and they cannot block out 2 or more hours for the chance to come and speak here. We cannot bemoan the lack of public engagement in one breath and then stifle it in the next. I personally don't have a strong opinion about when public comment should be. There's no time that's going to work for everybody. I think the most important thing is that it is consistent and transparent so that people know when exactly they need to show up. The second thing I'd like to talk about is Fraser Avenue. I would like to thank you all for listening to our concerns last week and acting quickly. The turnaround time on the reconfiguration plan was impressive. However, the rollout of this plan sends mixed messages. The proposed reconfiguration pushes traffic into the outermost lanes closest to pedestrians on the sidewalk. On the north side, where the tragedy last weekend took place, there is still no protection for pedestrians other than a handful of small trees and some light poles. This northernmost lane could be repurposed as street parking to benefit the businesses on that side of the street during the holiday season, and more importantly, protect pedestrians. Furthermore, the press release said that the temporary traffic pattern will give city engineers the ability to collect data to inform a permanent reconfiguration of Fraser Avenue. But we're also told that the new traffic pattern will only be on place on Saturdays and Sundays. If this quick build test is truly supposed to inform the possibility of a permanent reconfiguration, wouldn't CDOT want data on how it affects commute times throughout the week?
Yes.
One could be forgiven then for assuming that this is only a symbolic gesture, attempting to placate our anger now while maintaining the status quo in the long term. I sincerely hope that is not the case. But half measures and symbolic gestures will not keep families safe. So while this is a great first step, and I really appreciate the timeline and pushing this out quickly, and the creativity of implementing these sort of quick build measures, I challenge you to work to improve this lane reconfiguration and expand it to every day of the week until the end of the year so that complete data can be collected to better inform permanent solutions. And one last thing. My wife saw the plan earlier and immediately said, I don't feel any safer because there's nothing between me and the cars on that sidewalk when she's walking down the street with our children. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sam Murray. I grew up on the back of Lookout Mountain and moved to the North Shore about a year ago after a period away. As a new driver in Chattanooga, I was always very nervous when I encountered cyclists, wishing they would stay off most of the roads I drove on. The roads were not designed with them in mind, and I didn't want to hit them unintentionally. I was scared. Since moving to the North Shore, I have become an avid cyclist, riding my bike almost every day, often on Fraser Avenue. The roads are not designed with me in mind. I am still scared. I appreciate that you heard us last week and are taking action. We asked for action even if it isn't perfect, and that's what we got. This plan is far from perfect. The plan needs to be extended to 7 days a week. Our lives matter Monday through Friday too. Also, the outer lanes should be closed instead of the inner lanes to provide a buffer and protect pedestrians and cyclists. I appreciate your hard work and dedication to the city of Chattanooga and its people. I know this can be a thankless job. Thank you. Also, I didn't know where to add this or if I would have time, but along with many others, I was hit by a car on my bike on Market Street. Thank you again.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is John LaRosa. I live in District 1. Also wanted to thank the council and the mayor's office for taking swift action. I agree with what was said before me. I think when John was using "we," I can be included in that "we" for sure. I would really love to see the closures that are going to be on the weekends be all during the week. And I also, since the last meeting, had a chance to look at the plans from 2016 that were referenced, and I think a lot of those plans seem like really great idea, and I really look forward to seeing something like that being implemented permanently. I also bike every day on that stretch of Fraser, or pretty much every day, and I usually am coming from North Shore. I cross over the Walnut Street Bridge, and I'm on that stretch there. And I'm really excited to see it become an area that's safe for cyclists, pedestrians, people with mobility issues, residents, visitors, I mean, everyone, really. And I think that will improve the permanent changes, I think will improve the experience for drivers as well. We won't have people, like someone said last week, we won't be creating murderers out of drivers because they'll be able to navigate that area more easily too without having to worry as much about running into a pedestrian or a biker. And I think that's it. Thank you again for your swift action, the entire city council and the mayor's office. And I look forward to more being done and changes becoming permanent. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Friends, what are we doing here?
Okay, I'm sorry, could you state your name, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Cody. I'm in Cody Dahl from District 8. And I'm curious what our true objective really is. Is it to manage one another, or is it to actually do the hard work and make this city a better place to live in, to do business in, to recreate in, or to visit? I hope it's the latter, but the extent of the steps taken since our last meeting lead me to believe it is not. We spent last week's meeting speaking passionately, thoughtfully, about pedestrian and road safety in our city for everyone in our city. And while we appreciate the effort so far, it doesn't seem like you fully heard us. The proposed changes on Fraser appear designed to create safety for only one group, some corner of city government. It appears designed to avoid offense, critical feedback, or any level of true progress. And I hate to believe this, but this experiment seems destined to fail. Last week, we spoke in favor of those streets that are safe for everyone, from the people behind the streets to the people on bikes and on foot. And the proposed change, as is too often the pattern here, is safer only for those behind the wheel, continuing to push the churning river of speeding steel closer and closer to the sidewalks, eliminating any margin for pedestrian and cyclist safety, and ultimately creating an even more dangerous environment for the most vulnerable users of our streets. And in regards to the weekend-only implementation, a challenge for you. I too would like to note that we live here during the week as well as on the weekends, that we are both families and tourists visiting and parents walking their kids home from school or commuting home from work on a bicycle. Can we please make decisions that serve both? I'm not naive to the costs this will incur. I'm from Atlanta, the land of traffic. But friends, we want Fraser to be a place we all want to go to, not a place we want to go through. Yes. And we don't want to value convenience over people's lives. So I'm here to support redesigning the study in a way that pushes parking away from the sidewalk, to create a wall of parked cars in addition to the cones, to protect cyclists and pedestrians, a pattern you see in many cities with more mature infrastructure, and for extending the study to the full work week. Guys, this is hard work, and I really appreciate the work that you've done so far. I too am grateful for the speed and the prototyping nature, but I do want to keep pushing for more. We want our cities to be safe for the most vulnerable in them, and we don't want to repeat what happened a few weeks ago. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Laura Margaret Jones, District 5. I was here last week.
I was really nervous. I'm still really nervous. So please forgive me for kind of fumbling through things. I came slightly more prepared this time. But I do want to first thank you for listening and Mayor Kelly for listening. As several people before me have mentioned, both this week and last week, that, we recognize that your work is a thankless job. And also, I don't envy in terms of street safety and public infrastructure, the job that you or any of our country's leaders have ahead of them in trying to reverse decades of, this entire country's infrastructure was built around multi-ton vehicles, and we're having to walk it back and revert it. And so we recognize that none of this is y'all's fault, and we thank you for the strides you're making in rectifying it. So last week I forgot to relay some crucial information, which is that I too have been hit by a car. In 2015, traveling on South Broad into downtown, I was on my bicycle and a car took a turn into me, launching me off my bike and into the middle of traffic. So I was lucky to not only survive being hit by a car, but I was lucky to survive not potentially being hit by an alternative car after being thrust into the middle of traffic. And that happened on a weekday, mind you. I would also like to, as others have pointed out, that those of us who are here this evening, those of us who were here last week, are the privileged few who can afford to make time to be here. Also, most of us who are here advocating for these safer streets are the privileged few who choose to bike or walk for transportation, whereas the large majority, there are countless individuals in our community who commute by all sorts of means of transportation. I know Councilperson Hill last week mentioned passing someone every day who commutes via wheelchair, and I've seen the same. And the majority of those people cannot be here, and that is their only mode of transportation. While I commend the plan that Mayor Kelly has put into place, it is not enough. December 9th is unfortunately several weeks too late for the family that was struck and lost their lives. It's several weeks too late for the business whose storefront is now damaged, and it will be too late for the next person who's hit. Out in front of City Hall on 11th Street, there's a bollard in the middle of two lanes that is fluorescent and highlights traffic must yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. How difficult is it to put one of those in place?
Okay. Thank you. You did well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Alex Gerritsen. I live in District 9. Met y'all last week, but you met a lot of new people last week, I'm sure. So I'll just remind you that I'm a student who's very new to cycling to UTC from my house in District 9, and I really enjoy it. As the previous speaker said, I'm really privileged in that I choose to bike to campus and that I choose to be a pedestrian and a cyclist in this city. And my ability to make that choice and the experiences that I have while commuting and traveling in that way are some of my favorite experiences that I get to have here in Chattanooga, because it makes me feel like I'm actually part of the community and I'm existing in the space that I'm traveling through, and I'm not just passing through it to get to the next place with my car. I want to reiterate what some other people have said, that this plan really just pushes pedestrians and cars closer together because of where the proposed placement of the closure is. Whereas if you had put that closure on the outer lanes and actually given more space to pedestrians, it would rewire the sort of experience that cars and drivers have when they go through that area, that this is actually the space that is set aside for pedestrians, and pedestrians belong here and they deserve to be occupying this space, and it is not all for cars. And so I really hope that just as you quickly and efficiently came up with the current plan, that you can quickly and efficiently improve it to be just that much safer and more effective, both at actually protecting pedestrian lives and also in giving you the data that you need to be able to see the effectiveness of these proposed solutions that we keep bringing before you. It needs to be 7 days a week. You're not going to get good data by having just a couple days on the weekends throughout the month. I am a double STEM major, and I can tell you that's not how you get good data. So I really recommend that you change that to be 7 days a week, and that you also change the placement to give pedestrians that extra space. With the time I have left, I think this is really a chicken and egg problem, right? So as a driver, you feel almost entitled when you're inconvenienced by cyclists and by pedestrians, but it's because all of the infrastructure around you has been designed so that as you're a driver, you feel this infrastructure was made for me, I deserve to be here, this is my space. These people who are not transporting in my mode of transportation are inconveniencing me, and they're taking up space that wasn't designed for them. And to an extent, as a driver, you'd be correct in that feeling because the space wasn't designed for us as pedestrians and cyclists. And I think that in order to change the individual choices and perceptions and feelings that drivers have, you have to change the infrastructure to change their experience so that they no longer have that sort of sense that this space was designed to be driven through and all other modes of occupying or traveling in this space are not as important as that. So I hope that you take that into consideration, not just in replanning the implements that you have suggested right now with the suggestions I've accounted for, but also in your future policy planning.
Thank you.
Karina Miller, District 1. I used to live in the North Shore area on Tucker Street, right up the hill from Fraser. I grew up there. Same as I did last week, I walked to this meeting from Cherokee Boulevard, passing the aftermath of the accident on Fraser. While I greatly appreciate the city's decision to make a single step in the right direction, I appreciate how quickly this was done, the traffic pattern changes protecting pedestrians on only 2 out of the 7 days is simply not enough. I also believe that traffic ought to be pushed away from sidewalks, not towards them. I fear that this very limited and temporary traffic alteration will become a Band-Aid solution. And that after the holiday season is over and the tourists and shoppers go away, the Band-Aid might fall off completely. Please don't let that happen. Please prioritize and protect the lives of all pedestrians, no matter the day of the week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Andrew Scales, and I've had the pleasure of living in a few of the different districts here in Chattanooga. I grew up here, had the privilege of going to Baylor. I've spent most of my life here in Chattanooga, but never have I truly felt safe cycling or walking anywhere, and that's a shame. I'm glad to see that the mayor and the city council opted for action on this week. It only took a handful of tragedies, deaths, public outcry, and 39 others coming here to express their concerns to see that through. You opted for the middle ground between appeasing the activists and the NIMBYs and managed to satisfy neither of them. And if this is because you're worried about re-election, I can promise you that you'll strengthen your base with action and you'll weaken it with middling appeasement. And maybe for some of you, your rallying call really is car-centric. Fast cars, wide lanes, narrow sidewalks, all cater to 20th century infrastructure that was built quickly and recklessly. And if that's the hill you want to die on, at least we'll all know where you stand. While I love Chattanooga, it's fallen so far behind the other places I've lived, all of which are Chattanooga's peers. Greenville, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Boulder, Colorado, all cities of similar size, and places where I felt safe to be a pedestrian and a cyclist. And that's because the elected officials and the city opted for human-centric policy. And all of it was popular at the time, but all of it was good, and each made the city more livable. What I want to ask of you is simple. Why can't we just keep going? A traffic study that doesn't account for weekday rush hours isn't complete. Why not traffic calming on more days, more streets? Close Market Street, close down lanes on Market Street, pedestrian only markets down Broad Street. There's so many opportunities for action. If you just try them, success or failure, at least you'll know you've tried. I know you have a hard job, no matter the motivation that made you run for office or the circumstances that let you. And I know the job is mostly thankless, and I want to tell you genuinely thank you for taking this first step, but it's simply just not enough. Much of your job is tied up in procedure and policy and abstractions, voting on motions, the ends of which you'll never see. But this is something that will have real effects, not just abstract hope, but it's a permanent positive change on the landscape of Chattanooga. Chattanooga is the kind of city that public policy and urban planning curriculum will be written about, and it's up to you whether it's about tragedy and poor planning or something of success. Myself and others could sit here and wax poetic on urban planning, environmental design, and please seek those people out if that's what your goal is. But I'm not here to lecture you, but to plead. There's so many more ways to see this through, and I hope you'll continue to walk the path of solid, human-oriented, multimodal design. But please, just keep taking that next step down the path. And at bare minimum, let's put people first and extend this trial to the remainder of the Christmas season. Thank you.
Right, and Andrew, do you mind, what district are you in?
I'm currently not actually a resident of Chattanooga, so.
Okay, all right. All right.
Hello, good evening. My name is Daniel Madden. I'm a resident of District 7 in Alton Park. I'm also a teacher at Normal Park in District 2. I teach 8th grade U.S. history. I wasn't able to make the meeting last week, and so I wanted to come add my voice to support for traffic calming measures, both on Fraser and in additional areas of the city. As a teacher of a school with a large number of walkers and bus riders and bike riders, I worry frequently for the safety of my students, watching them sometimes carelessly headed out after school. It shouldn't be a sixth grader's responsibility to maintain their own safety. It should be on the cars. And so I worry for their safety. I also worry for the safety of other schools such as CSAS or Howard, where they leave school and enter a 4-lane road as they try to walk home. Traffic calming measures are much needed in many areas before we end up back in a situation where only tragedy forces us to make quick decisions. Personally, I'm also worried for my own family. I'm a father of a 16-month-old girl who is trach and vent dependent. In order to enjoy Chattanooga and the city that we call home, it is quite a task to load up all the medical equipment we need. We are quite a large convoy as we walk down the sidewalk, and I have found not a very secure feeling during these walks. One of our favorite activities pre the adoption of my daughter was to go to walk across the walking bridge, get some ice cream at the ice cream show or Clumpies, enjoy Winder Binder, and then Coolidge Park. And that was one of the activities that I was so excited to share with my daughter. We did this once, and we have not tried that again, as we have to exit onto Fraser Avenue in order to go into the park or any of those shops. We immediately felt unsafe and have not attempted to be back in several months. I just wish to add my voice to all of the ideas presented before me. I'm thankful for y'all's work. As a teacher, I do not get many thanks or much appreciation, and I'm frequently sent tough emails and parents who don't understand a lot of the work that goes on behind the scenes. And so I want to express my thankfulness for y'all's work and urge you to take another step in the necessary fight against the pedestrian deaths that have been skyrocketing this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hello, my name is Weston. I am a resident in District 8. First of all, I just want to echo all the thank yous from everyone before me. We really are thankful for the swift action. Just a little bit of my background. I moved here in 2021. I had no idea what Chattanooga was until I moved here. Had some friends that lived here, and I've come to really love this city. It has grown, it's just become a really special place in my heart, and there are very few other places that I want to live. While I love Chattanooga, there are some difficult things. Obviously, the tragedy a couple weeks ago, is sad to hear and truly devastating. The measures that are being proposed, I think, are good. Obviously, there's more that can be done, and so I just want to echo before me as well all that has been said. Something that was brought up last week are a lot of people that either choose to walk or to bike to work. I also want to acknowledge the population that we have here that doesn't get that choice, that doesn't have the option to walk or to bike, because that is simply their only option. That was me for a little bit. I lived across the ridge in Brainerd for a while, and I still work downtown, and I didn't have a car. I couldn't afford one at the time, and so I would have to bike to work every day. And I would bike up Brainerd Road, through the tunnel, down that stretch of road, into downtown, and would have to do it on the way back. There was truly nothing more terrifying in my life than having to bike through that tunnel. I have not been hit, but I had so many close calls. And yeah, obviously that isn't Fraser Avenue, but I think that speaks to, just some of the problems with the infrastructure that we have. I know many people that have been hit by a bike, I think at least 5, and that was before I came to this meeting last week, and have met many more, either hit while they're biking or while they're walking. So again, I just want to say thank you for the swift action. It is seen, it is appreciated. But yeah, I agree with before me that, our structure must change. Lastly, the thing I want to address is I think there's also a huge attitude problem with the drivers in our city. That's not everyone, but I think the amount of times that I've been honked at for doing absolutely nothing wrong, biking in the bike lane, swerved at, is really devastating. I think earlier this week, Tesla put out the new Cybertruck, and I think Musk's comment about if you're in a fight with another driver, you'll win is kind of is characteristic of the attitude. And I think while we can't change that attitude, we can change the consequences of that attitude with the structure in place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eric, District 8, and I'm a UTC student. I've been here for 2.5 years, and living on campus, I have the privilege of being like a quarter mile away from the Riverwalk, where I frequently run 4 days a week. I run on the Riverwalk, North Shore, Coolidge Park, and through running, I see the same people every day running, walking their dogs, biking, and I feel a sense of community that I never get when I'm in a car. But as nice as it is to run on the Riverwalk, getting to it is a hassle, and about 10 times crossing 3rd, 4th Street and Riverfront Parkway, I've almost been hit where that crossing is when I've had the light. And even this morning, running on North Market Street by Publix, I was almost hit by a car. So from my understanding, business has declined in Fraser Avenue following this incident, but this morning when I was running there were people speeding. I almost got hit by the car, like I just said. So driver behavior has not changed, even though pedestrian behavior has. So what I ask is that clearly there's a car problem in Chattanooga, pedestrian safety. I've almost been hit 10 times, like I said. So a change needs to happen citywide, but first we need to start with Fraser Avenue, and we need to do the study correctly. We need the lanes moved inward so there's not just empty space in the road being wasted. And if we do this experiment and study well, we can get good data that can be applied to the whole city. So we need to do a well thought out experiment and not just a half-hearted Band-Aid like everyone else has been saying. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Grant, and I live in District 7. I was here last week. This is my first time speaking. Even though I live in District 7, I'm on Fraser and Cherokee and North Market 3 to 5 times a week as a pedestrian, as a cyclist. I was literally there yesterday, and I'll be there tomorrow. Want to echo what everyone else said. Thank you for taking some action. You could have done nothing, or you could have done something but done it slower, and you didn't, and I'm very appreciative of that. But I was also a little disappointed. I was looking forward to the outermost lanes being taken away, because not only does it make you feel better as a pedestrian, but I hate cycling on Fraser. It's horrible. I only do it if I can get a hold of one of the e-bikes, because even though I'm a pretty fit guy, I just don't feel comfortable like with a bunch of cars behind me, unless I have like the e-bike helping me push forward.
So I was hoping those outer lanes would be taken away so it could be used kind of as like a pseudo bike lane. Closing off space in the median doesn't do anything for me. That would be almost more unsafe than just biking in the lane. I just wanted to draw, like, when I'm on the Walnut Street Bridge, the contrast between the northern end and the southern end is so stark. Like, the southern end is this beautiful, pedestrian-only brick plaza. People congregate, people hang out there, people get ice cream, they eat there, and it connects to another pedestrian-only bridge that goes off to the Art Bluff district. It's like stark opposites between the southern end and the northern end, just throwing you on that 4-lane road. So I'd like to see something where the northern end is more similar to the southern end. Yes. Where it can be a place where people can congregate, not a place where people just get through, hopefully don't get hit on their way to Coolidge Park or something. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brad. I'm from District 5, and I'd like to say I'm in full accord with everyone that has spoken so far, and wanted to just share a few stories since I've lived in Chattanooga for over 10 years, and for a majority of that time I've either biked or walked for commuting, for exercise, for just leisure, and I wanted to give a few stories of where I felt safe and where I felt unsafe. First and foremost, when I lived downtown near UTC, I would run on the Riverwalk on almost a daily basis, and I felt so good there, away from cars, able to wait on a space that was regularly maintained and made sure that it was friendly for pedestrians and bikers, and loved that space. Having moved to District 5 in the past year and a half, and I bike to work downtown, biking on Brainerd is just terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I've gone to where I now use the bus most of the time because of how scary it is to go through the tunnel. But even when I come home and I'm on my bike and I get off at the Sequoia intersection, I have to cross 4 lanes of traffic where people are going 50 or 60 miles an hour, and that is absolutely terrifying. And so I have often also gone on the Greenway, and the first few times I rode on the Greenway, I was just, brought to tears on how incredible of a commute that was. That a space like this, where I could feel safe, where I could be biking through just beautiful spaces, how great it can be to not have the exhaust that I'm choking on, to not be scared of all these people in these massive vehicles around me. I also have felt terrified when I lived on Beck Avenue in North Shore and had to walk past Fraser and on the Veterans Bridge with people like passing tons of alcohol containers shattered that I'm scared to step on. And I also just would like to say that I am a recent father, and I'm going to be taking my daughter to preschool on the bus in March, and getting on that bus is just really getting off to go home is just terrifying. And I either have to go all the way down to Moore, which I still don't feel safe on because of how large the intersections are, or I have to risk it across a very scary intersection. I'm thankful for everything you guys do, and thank you for listening to me.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Jonathan Poole, and I'm in District 2. My family and I live just up the hill from Fraser, so we're on Fraser regularly. And I agree with what everyone's been saying. I'm a cyclist and walk a lot as well, but wanted to just highlight that I think improving Fraser, making it safer for pedestrians and making it more comfortable for the people that are down there is a really big opportunity for Chattanooga. Anecdotally, just as I drive through Fraser, almost anywhere I go, I regularly see who I assume are tourists or people with the bike share bikes struggling to navigate, and you end up with pedestrians and bikes and dogs and everybody crammed onto fairly small sidewalks once all of that traffic is there. I can only imagine that, a lot of those people don't return to Chattanooga if they are indeed tourists. I see people biking, that I wonder why they are there. As a cyclist, I avoid certain streets because they're dangerous. So I assume that those are tourist people that are visiting. And I think if we, have a vision for Fraser, as has been said, and the north side of the bridge as kind of a destination, people will use it. I think they're struggling to use it now. They're using it in spite of how unsafe and uncomfortable it is. But it's just a real opportunity, I think, and maybe one of the biggest that I know in Chattanooga to help promote tourism, to support those businesses, and to really anchor, the existing infrastructure that we have with a better location on the north end. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Micah Morrison. I'm in District 2, and I really appreciate everybody that's already spoke and agree with a lot of what I've heard. I bought a house just up Forest near the Wyatt Recreation Center back in 2008, and I have been blessed enough to get a job where I can walk or ride my bike downtown on a regular basis. Which I do when I'm by myself. I've since had 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we do bike on a regular basis when they're with me, because I know how to manage the streets. I've been a biker a long time. The streets aren't set up for cyclists. Like Jonathan just mentioned, the fact that when you come down the pedestrian bridge, there's nowhere to go. Currently, because of the building that used to be there to the right is no longer there, you can see where all the bikes have made a path down to get to Coolidge Park. There's no way to get to Coolidge Park. That's why people come here for them. Sorry, I'm a little flustered. I just want to make sure we don't make the same mistake. I appreciate the moves we've made to try to implement and get more data, but we have all this data. Back from 2016, there was a great plan, and it was held up by some political pushback from Heritage Landing, which I don't know exactly how that worked out, but it's very frustrating because we have the data there, and the fact that we're only going to get it for weekends now, based on how this is set up, really isn't going to give us anything more than, it's less than what we already have. So I'm just hoping that, and I hate that we've had death that has to highlight the need, but something has to change here. We can go back to this data that we have. I know Blythe Bailey and a few others worked really hard on that, and I still don't know why it was pushed, but I know that it stalled out, and Bike Walk Chattanooga and others have sort of gone through fluxes of people there, and I'm blessed enough to be able to go to certain summits. Tennessee Bike Summit I was just at, and it's quite amazing. All around us, Knoxville, Memphis, Nashville have all implemented Vision Zero strategies. We live in the scenic city. We love our tourist destination, but yet we weren't even a dot on the map when it comes to this Vision Zero, keeping our pedestrians safe. So I just hope that we'll be able to do something now from this first step and complete it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, good evening. I am Denise Smith. I'm in District 2. I was here last week, but I didn't speak. I'm not, an eloquent public speaker, but I decided I was going to get up today and tell you all my thoughts. I, along with everyone else, appreciate the urgency and the willingness to take on this project. I know it's a big project. It has a lot of different implications for people that are tourists, for people that live here, for people that drive, walk, the businesses. There's a lot of moving parts, and I just appreciate that you all are willing to work together with all these different parties to arrive at a solution that benefits everybody. I will say, though, that the current plan that was proposed, I don't think it benefits everybody. Closing the inner lanes just pushes the cars closer to the pedestrians. I don't really know what we're thinking with that. To have this dead space in the middle, it's a lot of unused space. I feel like we could add some bike lanes, like other people were saying, you get dumped off the Walnut Street Bridge. I bike that every day to work. I work at Unum. I live on Cherokee Boulevard. My commute is 2 miles. I wake up in the morning some days and I'm like, do I want to take the risk today? Do I want to bike to work and like feel good when I get to work? Or do I want to get in my car and be another car on the road, be another piece of traffic, you know? And I think there are a lot of people that feel just the same way that I do, in that they would be more willing to bike or walk places if they felt safe doing so, but they don't. And so, you know, it has to be somebody that's willing to take that risk, that gets out there and does that and makes that change. So I agree with everyone else's ideas about how we can improve the plan and improve the proposal. One of the things I did want to also bring up was the study that we're planning on performing. So the plan is weekends in December. One of those weekends is Christmas Eve. One of those weekends is New Year's Eve. And so what do we have? We have 8 days of data. We take away those 2 days because those are going to be outliers. You have 4 days of data. What do we intend to do with that? I'm all about making data-driven decisions. That is honestly like my job for Unum. But like, if you're going to do a study, you need to do the study correctly. What makes a good study? Sample size. We don't have that. What makes a good study? Representative data. Are we just going to implement this plan going forward on the weekends only because we don't have weekly data to support anything? And what about data where outliers are considered? Are we going to be looking at Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and saying that those are good representative days to look at? I don't know. I'm just concerned about kind of the plan forward. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Hi there, I'm Haley Dunning. I live in District 1 at the base of Signal Mountain, and I used to be a resident in North Shore as well, and I work downtown. I had a very similar commute to if I chose to do it on bike, as she just discussed, and then my bike ended up becoming dusty and unused because I never was brave enough to make that commute that is just around 2 miles to downtown. And what I do professionally, I'm a public health professional at the health department, and I specifically focus on chronic diseases. So what I do is promoting physical activity and healthy options to living. And one of the biggest things that is relevant in our community is that of built environment. So these type of issues are going to be a big impact on our community in a way of public health as well, because that's how I see everything. I'm a public health nerd. And so, you know, we have epidemics of loneliness that are spread across our whole nation. And paying attention to things as pedestrian walkability and interconnectivity of community is going to have a greater impact than just of news articles of accidents. And it will really pay off. And I thank you all for taking this seriously. And I just want to also echo everything that all of my fellow community members have mentioned of the plans needing to be the center lanes that are for cars and the outer lanes be closed to create that barrier for safety for pedestrians. And I also really want to make sure that the bike lanes are very well considered for this area specifically, because we have those bike Chattanooga bikes everywhere that tourists come and use and never wear helmets. One thing that I work on in the community is bike safety as well. And they're usually not very avid bikers. Someone just hopped on for the first time in forever. And going in that area where us locals know is really unsafe. I chose not to ride my bike there. Seeing people riding those bikes that are supposed to be like a good physical activity alternative and thing to enjoy, and seeing that happen in that area is really scary. So I want to make sure that there's an emphasis on the infrastructure being prepared for that as well. And I thank you all again. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Alex Long. I'm from District 9. I just wanted to state that I agree with everybody's previously made points, specifically regarding infrastructure, the concerns on Fraser. This is my first time speaking. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But I did just sort of want to speak to my personal experience. I moved here in 2017, and I still tell people that Chattanooga is the biggest city I've ever lived in because I grew up in a community that doesn't have a stoplight, and we don't have a grocery store, and we have one gas station. So there are no sidewalks there. There are no buses except for the one that takes the older folks across the mountain once a week. So I come here and we have sidewalks, we have buses. I think this is great. I'm going to be able to get out and be active and be part of the community. And I've actually even bought a house that's on the bus line. But when I take the bus downtown, it drops me off at the stop. I'm still having to walk to my destination. And I find that the attitude of drivers in the city is unfortunate and somewhat aggressive. I will be in the crosswalk and I wait for the walk signal. You know, I want to do my due diligence. I'm in the crosswalk. I have the walk sign. Somebody is already trying to make a right on red as I'm in the crosswalk. I look at them. I'm here. I'm crossing. They start doing this at me like, go on, get out of the way. I'm driving. I'm here. You need to leave. And I'm a pedestrian. I'm a Chattanoogan. I'm doing what is appropriate for my position there. But, you know, if you're not in a car, then you apparently do not have a right of way. In that regard, I think that we need to be aiming infrastructure to force behaviors from drivers that protect all of our pedestrians, our bicyclists, the people who are more vulnerable. The people in the SUV, they hit the pedestrian. They're in the SUV, they are safe. I just want to say that I'm a registered nurse and I worked at Erlanger for a little over 2 years on the trauma step down on the 9th floor. And the things that you see when a car has struck a pedestrian or a motorcycle, like a cyclist, people who will never walk again, people who are not the person that they used to be. Family members come in the room and they say, oh my God. And I see that for 12 hours in a shift, and that was probably 3/4 of what we took care of on that floor. You know, car versus pedestrian, car versus cyclist, car versus motorcyclist. And those things will haunt me, I think, for the rest of my life, having to see our everyday citizens here in the city of Chattanooga who are irreparably damaged for things that could have been prevented. And so I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today, and I apologize for the emotion, but it's close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rob Hatch. I live in District 5, the very southern side of District 5. I work on the North Shore. I don't know if you know the number, but it seems like the North Shore has gained thousands of residential homes in the last 10 years. And even now there's construction of 2 great big buildings on Manufacturers Road, maybe another 500 units. How do we expect all of the new residential, those who live in that neighborhood, to get around? How are they going to go to the Publix that's literally 4 blocks away? Are they going to drive? If all of those new residential citizens, all those new residents have to drive, the congestion of that neighborhood will get even worse. Yeah. I so appreciate Chattanooga's willingness to build density in our urban core. Yes. What's happening on the south side, the Milltown developments, even those developments that were discussed earlier in City Council on Central Avenue. I applaud those developments. It's great work. But if those residents don't feel safe in front of their apartments, they'll get in their car to drive 2 blocks away to get their groceries. Yes. What kind of city requires that? I know that you don't control a lot of the urban infrastructure, state roads, South Broad, Cherokee Boulevard, very difficult places, lots more interaction there. But I do appreciate what you're trying to do with the roads that you control. Let's make them feel safe for the residents that live on those streets so that they can walk, so they can ride their bikes, so they can reduce the congestion that we struggle with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Will Levenway. I'm District 6. And I work as a priest at Christ Church Episcopal, which is in District 7. And I really want to say, I'm not even going to talk for 3 minutes, I don't think. I wanted to say two things. One of which is to say thank you. One of the things I know it's important to do is to know that you're supported and that this is real and important work. We pray for you at my church every Tuesday morning. So we did that this morning, and we're thankful for you. The other thing is that before I lived here, I was a priest in London and was on a bus one day, and I was on a bus that hit a cyclist, which caused all of about, I think, a 45-second pause before we moved on because the bus needed to get where it was going. When I tried to find out what happened to that cyclist, what happened, I wasn't able to learn anything. When I mentioned that to some of our local counselors, it was just the cost of doing business, basically. I don't think that's the case with the discussions we've had here and with the response that we've seen. And so I want to say how thankful I am that we've been able to bring these things up, and maybe not exactly what everybody wanted to happen, but things are beginning to happen, and I'm thankful for that. Because I think it signals something important for us, which is I think we all inherit a culture, don't we? A way of working things out, and that can be really resistant. But the way we build that up over the long term is by making these small decisions day after day. They're going to build up the habits that the people who come after you will inherit. That includes us making decisions about what sort of businesses go where, what sort of neighborhoods that we're building. And so I want to thank you and to know that, again, not only our thanks, but my prayers are with you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, council, I don't see anyone else wishing to address the council. What's your pleasure?
I'd like to say something.
Oh, Madam Vice Chair.
If I may. Thank you all for your thoughts tonight. I think it's pretty interesting that we have had so many different speakers from different districts, not just District 2. District 2 definitely dominated the input last week. And so to my council colleagues, I'll just share with you all that much as we've had a lot of ideas tonight, lots of different ideas about what is best or what is appropriate or what is safest, I had that same thing over the course of this week via email and phone call from folks in District 2. As I have worked, I have tried to identify the things that people hold in common. And so I do that same tonight as I hear from folks in District 6 and District 5 and 7 and 3. And the two things that I have noticed that I would just like for you all to contemplate as we move through the next few months. Number one, there seems to be a shared voice that pedestrian safety and multimodal safety needs to be a higher priority within our city. Whether you're driving a car or not, people want people to be safer. And it sounds like it's across all districts. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot is people want our traffic laws enforced. And that's going to take some real thought from this council as we move into budget season and some conversations. And I think also we will have some other interesting feedback as we consider that, because we probably have some people in this room who would like fewer police but want more enforcement. And we have, we all know that we have a lot of disparate opinions that come to us. But please be thinking about those things because this is bigger than just Fraser Avenue. It's about our whole city. So that's all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, I think I had a motion to adjourn. All right.